welcome back to my channel. This week we are sharing with you 4 easy, delicious meals that we made for my family of 4. So let's get into the kitchen, let's get cooking. The first meal we are sharing this week are homemade sloppy joes. So I'm loosely basing this on a Rachel Ray recipe that I've used for years. I've got 1.5 pounds of ground beef here in my skillet ready to go. I'm going to start working on my seasoning for that ground beef. So I'm going to use some brown sugar, and then I'm going to be adding in some steak seasoning. Next, I'm going to be adding this seasoning to the ground beef while it is browning up in my skillet. And I'm going to give that a stir, and then I'm going to start prepping my veggies. So I have a green pepper here that I've washed, and I have an onion. I'm going to do about half of the onion. So I'm just going to go ahead and start chopping my veggies. Next, I'm going to take my handy dandy food mover here, and I'm going to place the veggies into the ground beef mixture and let my veggies cook down. I'm going to be adding in some Worcestershire sauce. I don't measure, I just kind of eyeball it. Then I'm going to be adding in some red wine vinegar. Guys, this is the ticket. This is what gives this sloppy joe mixture a wonderful flavor. And so I'm going to give that a stir, and then I'm going to add in 1 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. And I'm also going to be adding in some tomato paste. Now, I have this tube that I keep in my fridge. I'm just going to add a couple good globs here, but you can certainly use the kind that's in the can. So I just gave this a stir. I added in a few splashes of hot sauce. You can do this to taste. It just gives it that extra something. I covered this with a lid, put it on low, and let it simmer for about 20 minutes. And here are our plates. This is always a winner. Everybody loves it. It gives a ton of food. I just served this with fries. Definitely a winner this week. The next meal that we will be sharing this week is a garlic butter shrimp hobo packet. So I'm going to start with this container of raw shrimp. It has been peeled, deveined, and the tails are off. It is frozen, so I'm going to start by thawing this out in some cold water, and then I'm going to be getting everything else ready for the hobo pack. So I love hobo packs in this aluminum foil because it's so easy. In the summertime, you can do it on the grill, on the oven, on a fire. I'm going to be using some orzo pasta, some asparagus, some minced garlic, and butter, of course. So I have washed my asparagus. I'm going to cut the woody stems off, and then I'm going to take the tops and cut those in half so that those are bite-sized pieces. Next, I'm going to be taking 2 pieces of aluminum foil, and I'm going to be placing that down onto my counter. I'm going to spray with nonstick spray, and then I'm going to be taking the orzo. Now, you only want to do about 1/4 cup of orzo per packet. This is important because if you do too much, it will not be cooked. Next, I'm going to be taking about 1/4 of the asparagus that I have and placing that on top of the orzo. I have drained my thawed shrimp now, and so I'm going to be taking about 1/4 of the shrimp and laying that directly on top of the asparagus. I'm going to take about 2 teaspoons here of minced garlic and just kind of spread that around on top of all of the shrimp and the asparagus. This adds the best flavor, and I know that without all this garlic it would still be good, but garlic and butter make shrimp amazing. Now I'm going to be taking some salt and pepper and seasoning to taste, and yes, I have washed my hands between each of these steps. No worries. Finally, I am taking about 2 tablespoons of butter and cutting that up into little cubes or strips here and placing that over the entire packet here. And now I'm just going to be folding my packet up, making sure to seal it tightly, and I'm going to be placing this on a baking sheet. Like I said, you could do this on a grill, you could do this on the hot coals at a campfire. I'm going to be baking mine in the oven. So I have my oven preheated to 425. I'm going to be placing the packets on a baking sheet, and these will bake for about 20 minutes in the oven. And here are the packets out of the oven. The smell is amazing. You could eat right out of the packets, but we put ours on a plate with a lemon wedge. This was so delicious, so light, so flavorful. Definitely something that you and your family should try. The next meal that we're going to be sharing is a chicken spaghetti. So I have about 1.5 pounds of chicken breast that I've thawed out. I'm just going to put that in some water and boil those chicken breast up on the stove. I am going to be salting the water pretty liberally. And then as my chicken is cooking, I'm going to prepare the rest of my ingredients. Once my chicken was cooked through, I put that out on a plate. I have my pasta water boiling. I'm going to be adding in 1 pound of spaghetti. The recipe that I was using said to break your spaghetti into fourths to make it easier as a casserole. So that's what I'm going to do. So once my spaghetti has cooked, I have it draining here. I also cut up my chicken into cubes. And so now I'm going to work on the sauce. So I'm going to add some butter and a little bit of these frozen diced onions to my pot here. And then I'm going to be adding in 2 cans of Rotel. I'm just using the original. You can use mild or hot, whatever your family likes, but we're going to use original Rotel. Next, I'm adding in 1 can of cream of chicken soup. And then I'm going to be adding in a cup of the starchy pasta water that I saved when I cooked up my spaghetti. The next part is the best part. I'm going to be adding in some Velveeta cheese. I just cut up a block of Velveeta into cubes just so that it could melt easier and faster. I'm dropping that into my sauce, and I'm going to give this a stir and wait for the cheese to melt. And here is that delicious sauce. Once it had melted, I added the chicken in, and the only step left is to add in the noodles. I'm going to add in the spaghetti noodles and give that a good toss to make sure that all the noodles are coated with this yummy, delicious sauce. And here I have my favorite casserole dish. If you know, you know. So I'm going to spray this with some nonstick spray, and then I'm just going to be putting that spaghetti and sauce mixture into the casserole dish. So I just poured the pasta mixture into the casserole dish, made sure it was in an even layer, shredded some cheddar cheese on top, and baked this at 350 for 20 minutes. This is what it looked like out of the oven, and here are our plates. This was delicious and a nice new take on a spaghetti recipe. The last meal we are sharing this week is a cowboy salad and a great meatless meal option. So I'm just going to be using some romaine, a green pepper, some cherry tomatoes. I also have an avocado, a can of black beans, and a can of corn. So I'm just going to start by prepping my veggies. The first thing I'm going to do after washing my romaine is I'm going to just give that a rough chop. I'm also going to be dicing up this green pepper. The recipe called for a red pepper, and that would definitely have been sweeter and added more color, but the green pepper was half of the price of the red pepper, so I went with the green pepper. I'm now going to have my cherry tomatoes and add that to the salad, so that added some color. And then I had half of a red onion in the fridge that needed to be used up, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this up and add this to the salad as well. I gave that a quick toss, and now I'm ready to add in the canned corn that I drained and rinsed, and the black beans that I drained and rinsed as well. I'm going to give this another toss with some sharp cheddar cheese. You could add pepper jack, Colby jack, whatever kind of cheese that you have on hand. I have shredded cheddar, so that's what we're using. So I'm giving this another toss, and then we're going to be adding in some avocado. Now, the recipe that I was loosely following made a special ranch sauce. It had barbecue sauce, hot sauce with the ranch, but my family loves ranch, and they asked me not to make the special sauce. They wanted to just use our regular ranch, so that is what we are doing. But just like any recipe or idea, you can make this your own. Use what you like, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to add on our ranch and top with some tortilla chips. So here is my bowl. This was a very light and delicious spring dinner. So that's going to do it for this week. I hope that you found some inspiration in the kitchen. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Bye.